And we're live on the Virtual Real Estate Investing Podcast. Super pumped. Frank, how you doing today?
Doing awesome, man. Beautiful weather on the East Coast. Enjoying it. Very good, man.
Excellent. We've got a good friend and one of our mentors here today, Max Fisch. How you doing today, Max?
Excellent.
Awesome. So Philadelphia guy, currently in Cape May, New Jersey, living the good life. Let's jump right into it. Tell me all about your business today, Max.
My business today is split pretty evenly, I'd say, between real estate and the agency business. On the real estate side, we're doing, 2 to 3 wholesale deals a month, larger transactions, average fees about 19. And then on the rehab side, the average age of a house here in Philadelphia is like 100 years old. So we're doing full gut rehabs, rewires, new plumbing, new electric, HVAC, basically everything. So our average construction time is about 12 weeks. We're looking to do 4 to 6 of them going forward. Changed our business up a little bit because of COVID, but larger deals. So 400K plus. The 2 currently under construction are 699 and 950 out sales respectively.
Very cool. And do you use the same lead generation for both your flips and your wholesale deals, or is it separate?
Yeah. So from a lead gen perspective, I'm about 90% cold calling, and then 10% direct mail. And then that's probably where I spend the remainder of my time, which is the agency business. So we're managing clients all over the country. We're basically managing lead gen campaigns for clients all over the country, primarily cold calling. That really, when we started calling for Brent Daniels, it really started to take off.
Nice. So the current climate, it's March 2021, about to be April 2021. Real estate market is crazy. I think, you said your average wholesale fee is 19K. We're at right around 9 or 10K. But it's been really hard to maintain the last couple of weeks. It seems like margins are getting tight. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it because it sounds kind of ridiculous, but I mean, we will typically pass on deals that are smaller fees. So like we just passed on one, for example, I know what I could sell for. I would have made like $3,500, and we just passed on it because in Philadelphia we have a lot of title issues, and so again, it sounds insane to say passing on deals, but we lose in some cases as much as a third of our deals to title issues. So if you're going to lose a third of your deals, there's a high probability the deal's not going to happen anyway. So to waste time on a $3,500 deal, I have found it's just too difficult. My acquisitions guy gets frustrated. My dispo guy gets frustrated, and it's no fun. So, but yeah, it's getting insanely competitive, and sellers, I thought basically every year for the last, say, 4 years or so, I've thought it can't get any worse, but it keeps getting worse. Yeah.
How has that affected your business? Is that because in our business, we've noticed with the way that the market is, there's less motivated sellers, but prices on the retail side continue to go up. So a lot of people, including us, have been starting to buy more of our deals. How have you responded and changed your business with this insanity since 2017, 18?
I would say probably the same way. I mean, I've been in this space since the early 2000s. So this isn't the first time I've seen something like this. The 2000 and call it 5, 6, 7 was similar, but not the same. I'm definitely, we do a bunch of wholesale deals. I mean, I take down deals, often. So, I would say probably similar to you, we're buying more, and just volume in general has gone down. I mean, it seems like, we went from, high single digits to mid single digits, and now like kind of 2 to 3 a month. So, it's getting more and more difficult. Now in Philadelphia, I will say the one caveat is that a lot of these wholesalers that I have bought from over the last, say, 3 years are no longer wholesaling. They're not in the space anymore. So I think that maybe has evened it out a little bit for us, but
Is that because they died, or they moved on to a different asset class, or just changed their strategy?
Yeah, maybe they died, but probably not. No, I think that first of all, a lot of them are real estate agents because in Pennsylvania, well, Philly in general, people are just, it's Wild West anyway. But also, I think a lot of agents, because you can list wholesale deals, just a contract is considered equitable ownership. So there's that. And I think the guys that are good probably move more into the rehab space, and I think the guys that were not good, just law of attrition.
Yep.
Gotcha. So cold calling, 90% of your business is coming from cold calling. What's the secret to a good cold calling operation?
I would say, good mentor. A guy like Brent Daniels has a killer program. You gotta learn quick. You gotta be methodical. You gotta be relentless, and you gotta be consistent. Too many people don't do a deal in 3 months and quit. And that's just the reality, so whether you don't have the funds to sustain, or you just don't have the mental ability to sustain, you got to keep going. You got to keep going. You got to be thinking, like your business. I mean, you can't be thinking the next couple of months. You got to be thinking 5, 10, 15, 20 years out. This is real estate, and this is not a new industry. So, just be relentless and be consistent.
I'll piggyback on that question. I agree with everything you said. I wanted to piggyback on Plum's question from a tactics and process perspective. What do you see? Because a lot of people are getting in cold calling right now because text is becoming very volatile, or SMS marketing. Everyone's expecting it to continue to have dwindled results, right? So everyone's investing in cold calling right now. What are some of the mistakes you see newbies make when they get their first couple of virtual assistants and they start having them call sellers direct?
Well, the biggest issue that we come across, so my real estate business, I hate to say runs itself, because I feel like everybody says that and it just sounds so cheesy, but I've gotten the real estate business to the point where it runs without a considerable investment of my time, right? So I'm spending maybe 5 or 10 or 15 hours a week at most on the real estate business. My guys are doing their things. We're in constant communication. The rest of my time I spend on the agency business, but not in the day-to-day. It's really like the sales calls and things like that, because I legitimately enjoy those calls. I like talking to other investors, seeing how they're doing. And the biggest complaint that I get is, why would I pay you when I can do it myself? And that is the reason why you're considering getting a VA in the first place. So it's an interesting thought process, but I think people are, I think a lot of guys don't budget properly. And because they don't budget, when they think about paying us a couple extra bucks an hour, for example, when they could do it themselves, they lean towards the I'm going to do it myself model. And then again, they're right back into the same boat that led them to consider a VA in the first place. So I think budget is the biggest issue, quite honestly. And that goes back to planning. If you plan 5, 10, 15 years out, your budgeting process is going to be a lot different than if you budget 60 days out,
So let's just dig into that a little bit. What is calling reps? What do you guys offer?
Yeah. So calling reps is basically the cold calling arm of Real Estate Project Solutions. Real Estate Project Solutions is a full service VA agency. So we, can do and will do anything and everything, so long as it doesn't require face-to-face interaction in the real estate space. Again, when we started calling for Brent, he started saying nice things about us. That's when the cold calling side really started to run, and that's where we kind of peeled off and created some digital assets focused specifically on cold calling. But I mean, we're doing lead management, we're doing utility shutoffs for property managers, we're processing rental applications for property managers and owners, we're cold calling for agents looking to recruit for their team, we're doing the lead gen. Obviously, we're doing texting. We're doing data mining and administrative tasks. We're doing dispositions. I mean, in my business, for example, it's myself, acquisitions, dispositions, and project manager. The 5 callers and everybody else is a VA. There's just, there's no reason not to outsource. And now, with all these minimum wage fights and all this kind of stuff, you gotta reduce your costs. And the easiest way to do it is with cheaper labor.
It's so true. It's amazing how efficient the secondary market actually is, right? Like if your overhead on your flipping operation is too high, like you're just going to end up not being competitive in your max allowable offer, right? So it's super important to keep it low, right? The other thing I think people underestimate is, because you said people don't budget for it, right? Some people want to just do all the hustle and make 200 calls a day, which is going to kill your soul after a year, right? The other side of it is like there's a lot of administrative burden to hiring even outsourced employees directly. So like, do you see that in your business? People saying, like, oh, why don't I go direct to, go on Upwork or Indeed.com and just hire virtual assistants directly? Like, what do you say to that person?
I say we interview 200 to 300 people a month. How could you possibly compete with what we do?
There you go.
I mean, it's
drop.
Well, it's really straightforward. I mean, it's not, we're not doing anything special. There's, anybody who talks to me will recognize when I say, there's no secret sauce, right? There's nothing super sexy here. We're managing people, and we've gotten to the point where we have reached economies of scale, and you would never set up the infrastructure we have to hire, 4, 5, hell, 10 VAs. You just wouldn't do it. So, to go out and do it on your own, I think the real risk is what happens when you find out they're working for you and another guy. What happens when you find out they're not working for you at all? What happens when you get scammed? What happens when, there's all this stuff that can happen that nobody really considers. And once that happens, you blow past any premium that we're going to charge you to do it for you. And then, if you want somebody to yell at, you can yell at us. You have some recourse. You don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. So, I would say to somebody, look, I've spent the last 5 years putting this together. So if you want to be a real estate guy and you're learning real estate, why would you all of a sudden now also want to learn, proper onboarding for new hires? Why would you want to be the trainer and the coach and the manager? It's just too much. Everybody talks about simplicity, quality of life, getting your time back, all these kind of cute little slogans that people use. But if you're going to be the guy and you're going to do everything, then you're doing exactly the opposite. And
we love Filipino VAs. They've been great for us. But have you looked at, or what do you think about the stateside virtual assistant, right? Like they're going to be more expensive, but in theory, they're going to be more productive as well. So how do you kind of balance that as you think through it?
So for us, about 60% of our guys are Filipino. We just hired 3 Panamanians last month. We have guys from Europe, from Central South America. We have guys from other Asian countries. We have people from all over. And we have, I think, like 13 or 14 expats currently. So Americans that are living abroad. And what I tell everybody is that the most challenging folks that we have ever had, and the ones that we typically fire at the highest rate, are the Americans. And, there's all these reasons why, but typically it's because they do exactly what, look, at the peak, I had 8 full-time employees in my office cold calling, right? And I'm going back like 5 years. And that's what led me to using the VAs. I caught a couple of the girls fist fighting in the bathroom. Like, who does that? I caught a guy asleep in his car because he told me that he picked up a part-time job when he could have just worked harder for me. And it just didn't even make any sense. So all of the same issues, except they don't live here. So when you say, better better output from the guys stateside, with the exception of maybe cold calling, because they're going to sound better. They might get their foot in the door more quickly. I would say, nah, no way. No way. And I would go toe to toe with you any day of the week. No, nah, I don't think so.
Mhm.
I think if you do the hiring and the onboarding to the degree that we do it, I think you're going to get actually a better product. You're definitely going to get a better value, but you're going to get a better product, I would argue. Because anybody can do data management. Anybody can do data mining. Anybody can do dispositions. Anybody can send an email. The cold calling is a little bit trickier, but I don't think so.
I like it. What timing, when to hire a virtual assistant? I think this is a really relevant question. I've seen people who have done 0 deals say they're going to hire a virtual assistant. I've seen people who have done over 10 not hire one yet, right? So like, when is it the right time? Like, when does someone press that button to start outsourcing work?
Yeah, for me, it goes back to budget. If you're a person who, look, if you're 50 years old and, you just sold your business and, you're sitting on $5 million and you want to get into real estate, then why would you do any of that stuff yourself other than to maybe learn it? You would outsource as quickly as possible. So I think it just becomes a trading time versus, trading time for money, excuse me, proposition. So I think everybody's different. I mean, me, I was in the real estate business for a long time before I ever hired a VA, because VAs didn't really exist. VAs didn't exist in 2004, 5, 6, 7. I mean, I think a lot of the biggest VA companies were really just getting started. Like, I don't know, what would you say, like 2007, 8, 9, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
So
as soon as the 4-hour work week came out, right? That's what busted the top on everything.
Yeah, and I got that right here. So when did that? I don't know. Whenever that came out. So, so for me, I was in the space a long time before I hired a VA. I think that I would tell you this for sure, though. Anybody who doesn't know how to call, doesn't know any of the processes of their own business, they have no business hiring a VA, because you got to learn the stuff yourself first. But as soon as you can get your time back by paying someone else to do it, I would think sooner the better. But everybody's situation is a little different too.
So now that you told us what's going on today, tell us how you got here. What's your story? And in the process, teach me, oh wise one, teach me how we can have 10 years, 15 years, 20 years of stability here too, and we don't become one of those statistics that you mentioned, right? The fly by night types of people. That's not the kind of business we want to grow. What do I have to do? What does Frank have to do to make sure we still have a growing, thriving business 15 years from now?
So I kind of gave you my story. I started in the business early on. I actually started in the mortgage business. So I was originating residential mortgages. I found a property that I knew was a good deal because, I had an idea of the values. I bought it. That was my first rehab. Went on to do another one and, made a shit ton of mistakes from then all the way till now. And they've all been different kinds of mistakes for different reasons, but, everybody learns differently. I'm one of those guys that I step in shit and then I know not to do that again. I can't take advice. I can't, people say, don't do this, this, and this, and then I'll just do all 3 of them anyway. What I will say is that 2008, 2009, 2010 was really interesting. I was fortunate that I basically, went into that time period only owning one piece of property, and for all of my buddies who owned 2, 3, 4, 5 properties, they basically all got totally wiped out. And it's funny because I have a buddy of mine. He actually died of throat cancer. He passed away, and I remember at the time, it was me, him, and another guy went out to lunch, and I had just bought a new car cash, and they were all making fun of me. They're like, guys are losing their jobs left and right. You're buying cars. I don't understand it. And I had just, again, goes back to budgeting and planning. I had planned right, and and I had some cash, and it was fine. But the point of that is, I think you got to not over leverage. You got to not take unnecessary risks, and you got to know that real estate is cyclical. So, going back to what I said a few minutes ago, if you're going to plan 10, 15, 20 years out, you got to understand that that if you're buying rentals today, you better have some serious reserves, because something bad could happen. If the market corrects by 25%, what are you going to do? If half of your rentals stop paying, what are you going to do? That might affect you. That might not affect you. But you have to plan for all that kind of stuff. So I think that the guys that just kind of go balls to the wall, no regard for the market, some of them make it, but most of them do not. And so, you just have to be aware and understand that real estate is about time. That's really all it's about. You can buy an asset at any number, and as long as you hold it for a long enough time, it will turn out to be a good investment, right? Now the leverage, and there's all these other factors, of course, that could negatively impact it. But the point is, if you plan properly and you don't go too far too fast, you'll be fine. So I would say that, based on what I see you guys doing, keep wholesaling, keep picking up those assets and do it smart, and be methodical and take your time and buy the right stuff. And 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 40 years from now, you guys will be laughing all the way to the bank.
Yeah. I have another question, talking about Philly for a second. You've made it known that Philly's your place, your hometown, your primary market. Have you ever tried to do deals outside of Philly? And if not, why have you always stuck to one market?
Yeah. So I'm one of those people who can, I have to touch it. I have to see it. I have to, I don't know how guys do business virtually. I can't, I understand it. I understand the process, but I can't, the thought of putting my own money into a deal that I can't go see, it just freaks me out. I just can't do it. So I never did it for that reason. And then when the agency business really took off, now I'm in a position where if I was to do virtual business, there's a very good chance that I would be directly competing with a client. And so I don't want to do that. That would be dishonest, and that's not my deal. As far as Philly goes, I'll go out into the burbs. That's about as far outside of Philadelphia as I get these days. And it's just as simple as I'm just funny about not buying property I can't see. And like I said, now having the agency business, I don't want to compete with clients. It's really, there's nothing, I don't think there's anything wrong with virtual. My hat's off to these guys that do it. I think it's awesome. I think there's a lot of guys that are really crushing it, doing it. And, I wish I could be one of them, but I'm just I don't have the, it's just, I couldn't be an accountant. It's the same idea. I can't, it just doesn't work for me.
Right. But that also makes sense given that you're a higher margin focused business, right? Does that play into it at all? Do you think someone who stays local ends up inevitably focusing on higher margins, or is what I just said false?
I guess it depends. I used to hear the term do a dealitis, and that always used to make me laugh. So I guess if you really push too hard, like I said, a second ago about kind of taking your time, being methodical, if you push too hard, you're ultimately going to pursue lower margin deals than you might otherwise want to, right? I would think. But for me, the larger ARV really just came as a result of COVID. Right? You got to understand that Jersey and Pennsylvania, the residential construction business was shut down for 6 months. And I don't think that happened anywhere else in the country. So, I had some of my own money at risk. I had investor capital at risk, and I was fielding phone calls from pissed off people like all the time. So I just decided, I don't want to like try to do 50 rehabs. Again, you gotta be careful. You can't go too far, too fast. And, I think I got a little bit, my feet were going a little too fast. My body kind of had to catch up kind of thing. I think I just got ahead of myself a little bit too much. Nothing crazy. I just wasn't super comfortable. And so I want to kind of change the strategy a little bit because of that.
And I mean, that's when you get a deal in your pipeline, you can wholesale it, you can flip it, or potentially keep it for the longer term. How do you think through that process and make those decisions?
Well, I don't hold any residential real estate now.
Okay.
I don't want any residential real estate. Commercial real estate, different deal.
So let's dig into that a little bit then. Why not?
So to answer your question, so I don't hold any residential real estate. And I'll tell you, I'll get into that in a second. And whether I wholesale or rehab it is based on just two things. One, is it below my minimum ARV? And then number two, if it's not, if I wholesale it, what's my profit? If I rehab it, what's my profit? And then, you just do a time value money calculation and maybe associate some risk to that. And one number is going to be bigger than the other. And that's what I do. It's not, just like, that's like, not basic math, but that's like, that's like high school math, when they had to do in the calculations that now the kids probably do in like an Excel spreadsheet or something.
If you have to do anything above high school math to figure out if a deal's good, it's not.
It gets too crazy. But yeah, just time value money. Just associate a rate to it, some risk, and like I said, if I can put it this way, I'm not going to go through and do a rehab. Say I can wholesale it and make 50 grand. I'm not going to go and do a rehab to make 60. Right? It's too much time, too much risk, too much aggravation. My interest expense will probably be higher. So in that case, the rehab number would be lower than the wholesale number. So, believe me, it's way less complicated than I'm making it sound. As far as why I don't hold residential, so for me, I think that right now we're at a point where the only reason you would buy residential real estate is because the interest rates are really low. Because if anybody who thinks that they're buying residential real estate right now and they're getting good deals, I mean, you might get a couple wholesale deals, and you'll get a good deal, but you're getting a good deal because you're giving up profit in the short term. So the only reason you would buy, in my mind, is because you're getting good finance rates, because you're not getting good, you're not getting good numbers. So I don't want to hold residential real estate. I'd rather own a 100-unit building than 100 houses with 100 roofs and 100 HVAC systems. It's as simple as I just don't want to do it. I don't, I would never say like anybody who's buying residential real estate is crazy or anything like that. I think real estate's phenomenal. And I'd say do what you can, do what you like, do what you're comfortable with. For me, it's just not the business I want to be in. So I'm not doing it. But I don't like buying at the top. That kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Just never know when the top's going to be. Does it feel like the top? Do you feel like you did when you were a mortgage broker in 2008?
No, because that was different. So what we were doing is, the big joke was, if you had a pulse, you'd get a loan. I saw guys get loans. So they had what they call stated wage earner, right? Where you're a W-2 employee, which means you get a standard weekly or biweekly rate of pay. And they would let you state what that was. Well, the only reason that you state it is because you can't prove it, because you get a paycheck every week or every 2 weeks. So just that product in itself was you're lying. I mean, there's no, because otherwise you would just show your pay stub and you'd be good. Right. So you watch that kind of stuff happen. The negative amortization products, that was like a shit show, free for all, like college party rolled into one. Where we're at today is a lot different. So, not to get too far off track, but you have massive stimulus that just got passed. You have incredibly low interest rates. The Fed can't raise rates or let rates go back to any kind of normal level. Otherwise, they won't be able to afford the interest payments on the debt. I mean, there's all this crazy macroeconomic factors. I don't think buying residential real estate today is a bad idea. Like I said, it's just not the business I want to be in. So I'm not saying it's the top. It's just like, it doesn't feel like a smoking deal anymore. You know, so
you're speculating. You're not getting deals at 60% ARV minus rehab right now. From even if you're a wholesaler too, they're not common. So you're speculating. Like, you're speculating a little bit.
Think about the rents as it relates to the values, right? So, like the guy who has a what do you call a Section 8 portfolio, right? A subsidized portfolio. So he's still getting that same $1,200, but now the cost to acquire the unit has doubled, right? So his return's been cut in half. Is that a deal? I mean, maybe to him it is a deal. Maybe it's not. I don't know. To me, I wouldn't be too crazy about that. Same thing with market rents. Market rents really haven't gone up too much, but the prices have gone up. So, real estate is cyclical. I just assume hang back. Like, put it this way. I think if I was looking to acquire residential real estate, I probably would have stopped right about the time COVID hit. That's just me, because I would have been very concerned about the uncertainty of where COVID was going to go. To see 20, 30, 40 offers, 50, 60, $80,000 over ask, which might be like 10, 20, 30%. That tells me that it's not a good time necessarily to buy. Not that it's a bad time. It's just not a good time. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Nice. Let me hit you with a couple of rapid fire, and then we'll close it up here. Who are you looking to for inspiration or guidance or information these days? You listen to any good podcasts or YouTube or books or anything that's hitting you these days?
So yeah, I'm really like kind of in this like trying to reduce my screen time kind of thing. But here's what I got like sitting right next to me. Alan Flusser, if you're into style, just kind of random. 365 aircraft you must fly. Kind of random. And as far as like YouTube inspiration, that kind of stuff. I don't know. I'll tell you what. I just talked to Paul DeCampo. So that's an interesting book. And then my boy here, active listening, Steve Trang. So I've been listening to his stuff a lot lately. That's pretty. He's a beast. Brent Daniels is a friend. I love his stuff. I think what he does is pretty exciting. I like his energy. I like all that. And
yeah, that's awesome. I had a rapid fire question for you. It's a fun one. So Pat's or Gino's steakhouses, commercial property hits the market, same price. Which one are you buying?
Pat's or Gino's?
Yeah.
Neither. I'm out, man. Gooey Louie's.
Gooey Louie's?
Mm.
Dude, I've never heard of Gooey Louie's, but we're also, I'm not from Philadelphia. I'm a New Yorker. But what's the difference? Why is it better than Pat's or Gino's?
I mean, there's like 1,000 places to get a sandwich. I don't know. I just kind of spit it out. I don't know. I haven't been to Pat's or Gino's in, I don't even know, 25 years.
Yeah, I'm sure the Philadelphia cheesesteak questions get old, but I felt like I had to ask you.
No, it's a fair question. I think that the hole in the wall place is really where it's at. My big thing is honestly is the Jamaican food off the truck. So like oxtail or curry goat or something like that.
I love oxtail.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, underrated.
Off the truck though. It's got to be off the truck.
Got to be off a truck. All right, that's
absolutely.
That's pretty tight criteria. Oxtail off a truck.
Yeah. Well, you got
very Philadelphia.
Live dangerously.
It's awesome, man. Well, I don't think we have any more questions for you, Max. We really do appreciate you. Where can people find you? You know, where are you at on the internet?
Yeah, callingreps.com. I'm on Facebook, and then Instagram. Follow Fisch, Fisch.
That's it. It's Fisch. That's it.
Follow Fisch.
Oh, at Follow Fisch. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I
So
was like, man, you got Fish? I was like, wow, you must have been like the fifth person to sign up for Instagram.
No. I mean, I signed up for Instagram like last week. So, yeah. And then callingreps.com. Like I said, if you're interested in the agency stuff, I mean, I try to give back, try to help people out. So, you know, we don't have to be doing business for me to talk to people.
That's awesome. Yeah, you've always been really, really generous with your time with us too. We really appreciate you coming on, Max. Thank you from John and I and the Gray Line team. And good luck out there, man. See you later in 2020.
You guys as well, man. Keep kicking ass. I appreciate it. And thanks for having me.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks, Max.